everybody, Carolyn Caldwell here, back again to talk about Day 10. Today is 10 of the Organizing Spring Fling, and today I'm going to talk about helping other people make decisions or helping other people sort and downsize. This could be particularly helpful if you need to support somebody who is having to shed, having to downsize. I'm not going to address working with children. I'm going to do that separately in a separate video all of its own. If that's something that's really important to you, then put a note down below and I'll make sure that I get to it sooner rather than later. But if you might be clearing out a storage unit, for example, you might be moving, you might be clearing out some boxes in the basement. That's me. Got boxes in the basement to clear out from our move 6 years ago. So hopefully this information is helpful. So I want to start by talking about the fact that sorting and making decisions about shedding is an emotional experience. And it really means that organizing is an emotional experience. We have an emotional relationship with our belongings, some more, some less. We all know that there's some things that we're very attached to, and there are other things that we're not so attached to. So when you're sorting through a number of items, you're accessing your emotions and making decisions. How do I feel about it? How do I not feel about it? Do I need this? Do I not need it? So you're going through an emotional experience to make those decisions. In order to do that, it takes emotional reserves, it takes emotional resources, emotional depth, it takes motivation, inspiration, and it basically takes a willingness to be prepared to take on that project and make those decisions. So I'm reading from my notes here to make sure I get this right and make sure I cover everything, so I apologize if I keep looking down below. If you need to help somebody else shed, downsize, or eliminate, please do not force them to make those decisions. Now, I'm going to put a little qualifier in here that I am not going to address hoarding disorder. That is a mental health disorder that requires some very, very special skills. So if you're dealing with somebody with hoarding disorder and you need some support for that, again, DM me or let me know down below, whichever works for you, and I can support you offline with a little bit of information and some resources. But in the meantime, please don't force somebody to downsize, eliminate, shed. You need to work with them to help them be motivated and be inspired to do the work. The danger is if you force the issue that they will make very poor quality decisions. I spoke yesterday or the day before about the quality of decisions. If they're making very poor quality decisions, they may hold you accountable and responsible for eliminating something that they didn't really want to. And then another danger is that they will become angry and resentful. In professional organizing, one of the very, very first things that we have to establish with our clients is the trust factor. We need to make sure that our clients feel that they can trust us, that they can work with us, and that they can have a relationship with us, that we can support them through these emotional decisions. If you are trying to support somebody in your life to shed, to downsize, and to eliminate, you don't ever want to violate that trust relationship and run the risk that A, you're going to be held responsible for poor quality decisions, or B, that somebody is going to become angry and resentful. So instead, here's what you can do. If somebody says to you, I can't do this, okay, fair enough. What could you do? What can you do? See if you can shift their mindset just a little bit from can't to the possibility of perhaps there is something that they could do. Let's say, for example, that you're trying to downsize a storage unit. Now, my family went through that last spring, and what we chose to do was, rather than trying to empty the storage unit, because all of us looked at it and said there's just no way we could do this, but what we could do we downsized to the next level that made a financial impact in terms of the cost of the storage unit. So let's say you've got 10 boxes sitting in your basement looking at you, or that you pulled out of the garage, you pulled out of the storage unit, or what have you. Perhaps the individual would be willing to downsize by one box. Do you think you could do just one box? Which means that you start going through the boxes, and when you've emptied enough or shed or eliminated enough material that now you only have 9 boxes, you're done. They may at that point have started to exercise and warm up their decision-making muscles, and they may then be willing to go on to a second box or a third box, or actually sort through all 10 boxes. But that's their own self-motivation and their own inspiration. But you're not going to be held accountable for that, because now they're accessing their own self-motivation. The second thing that you can do is you can ask them, okay, you don't feel that you can do this right now, or you don't feel you can sort the 10 boxes. Could we maybe just take out the garbage? Could we come up with a common definition of what that is? This one works really well when you're working with teenage girls when it comes to clothes, because they frequently don't want to get rid of anything. So one of the things that I do is say, okay, fair enough, I understand that. You're pretty attached to your clothes. Some of these clothes maybe don't fit you. Do you think that we could pick out the ones that don't fit you, and that those ones we could shed or send away, or at least get out of your room? Maybe you're doing hand-me-downs, whatever it is for your family. Could we take out the ones that just don't fit you? That often works with the teenage girls. But you need to make sure that whatever that decision is, that it's their definition that fits into that decision making, so that they can take responsibility for those decisions themselves. Try not to make the decisions for the individual. I know that's really hard. You may think that the football helmet from high school is gross and dirty and old, but your friend who that helmet belongs to may think of it as a lovely memory from high school. So you have no emotional attachment to it, but perhaps they do. It may be a yearbook. It may be a piece of clothing. It may be a dish. Who knows what it is? You may feel that it's just junk and garbage and it doesn't really mean anything to you. But for the person in your life that feels that they can't shed that, they have an emotional relationship to it. So if you do make the decision on their behalf when they don't want to, again, you may be held responsible for that decision, and you may be finding that there is anger and resentment is generated. So I hope that's helpful. I know that that's a difficult subject. Many of us are finding that we have time on our hands. This is being filmed during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. So many of us are home self-isolating or in social distancing, and we've got time on our hands, and we're trying to clear out and empty boxes and so on and so forth. But I do really implore you to really think very carefully about forcing somebody to making shedding, eliminating, or downsizing decisions when they're not ready for it. Okay, I hope that's helpful, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye now.